Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to my van. This will hopefully be the first of many videos to come of this new journey that I'm starting. Let me break it down real fast. In 2 days, I am taking this van from Wyoming, where I live currently and where I've spent most of my life, 3,000 miles up to Seward, Alaska. It's going to take about a week to get there. My mom is joining me. She's actually from Seward, Alaska originally. And then once we get there, she's going to fly back to Wyoming. And I'm going to stay there in this van. This is my new house. I'm going to work full-time as a barista. And I'll be there till September. And then I have no idea what's coming next. So let's just start with the basics since I just dropped all that information on you. My name is Samantha. I'm 25. I'm a Scorpio. I love to write. I love yoga. I love spirituality. I love adventure. I love to travel. I love coffee. I feel like those are the basics. But I wanted to record this video to start just by talking about what has led me up to this point, because a year ago I was in quite a bit of a different position in my life. I was 24 years old. And I was fairly fresh out of college. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in gender and women's studies when I was 22 years old. Right after that, I was thrown into the professional world, even though that was never my plan. When I was 18, I didn't want to go to college. I resisted it, but I felt a lot of pressure to go. And so I went to school. And so a year ago, I had just started this professional job that was, honestly, it was a great job. I was making $50,000 a year. I had health insurance and other benefits, and I had 3 weeks paid time off. It was a good setup. The only thing is that in my heart, I felt like I needed to be somewhere else. And for a while, I ignored that feeling because I was trying so hard to be rational. I was constantly arguing with myself about what made the most sense. When intuition speaks, it's this calm but persistent voice that is hard to ignore. You can ignore it for a long time, but it will never go away. I just realized I am right where I should be according to society and what I have learned about how to live a life, but I'm a free spirit and I need to go. When you first look at my situation, it makes no sense why I would have left a decent job that was paying me $50,000 with benefits to be a barista and make $11 an hour plus tips and no benefits. Like, that makes no sense. If I was just rationalizing it in my head, I would have stayed in my job. I could write the pros and cons for that situation, and the pros list would be like way long on staying in my job. But you can't explain intuition and this feeling that you have to go. And on top of that, you can't put your life on hold just because it makes sense. When I decided to go to college, I began following this path that is laid out for many people at a young age. You go to school, you get your degree, you enter the professional world, you start a career path, like something that you're going to be doing for years. Maybe you even get married and have a family and buy a house. And there's this list of things that you check off, like, okay, got that. Before I was 18, I didn't give a shit about that list. I thought, I'm just going to go travel and I want to be a photographer. But somehow I got wrapped up into it. When I was in school, I found myself starting to check those things off. I graduated and I checked that off. And then I got a high-paying job that was professional and that was in my line of work, and I checked that off. And I was looking next on the list, and in my head, it was buying a house. I was really considering buying a house. I almost applied for a loan for it, and so I was getting ready to check that off. All while I was doing this, I had this persistent feeling in the background that was like, what are you doing? This isn't what you want. This doesn't feel right. I lost my mind for a while and I couldn't figure out what I wanted because I was torn between these two different things. And I couldn't tell that if it was my voice in my head or if it was the voice of other people telling me what I should do. I just couldn't decipher between it. And so for like a year, I was just caught in between them and trying to understand these two different voices and trying to decide what I wanted to do next. It took me about 6 months of really going back and forth between the two things and changing my mind and then changing my mind again and changing my mind again. One day I just realized this decision I'm about to make is in my heart and it makes no sense. It doesn't really make sense to me. It doesn't really make sense to anyone around me. I had people that were really questioning me and judging me for it. And I was judging myself because I had worked so hard the past few years to get myself to the position that I was at, and I was about to totally undo that. But I just felt like there was something that was guiding me that knew more than me. I'm not yet to the point where I can say, yeah, guys, look, this happened in my life because I made this decision. I don't know yet. I'm just starting this journey. But what I do know is that it's really important to listen to that internal call and to trust that things are going to fall into place. This new journey of mine is completely based on faith that there's something else out there for me. Letting go to that and not trying to be in control has been very hard for me because my whole life I have been so driven and focused on my goals, and I have a goal and I run towards it and I accomplish it, and then I'm immediately running towards the next goal. I've been trying so hard to be in control of everything in my life, but it wasn't really working for me because I would want something and then I would get it, but then I wasn't that happy and I felt so out of touch with who I was. And so letting go is really hard, and sometimes I find myself thinking, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? I have to plan for the next thing. But what I'm really practicing right now is being in the present moment and trusting that what I need to know for my future will reveal itself at the right time. And that if I force things to happen just to have a sense of security and stability, then I'm going to end up in a place that I shouldn't be. I'm essentially going to be swimming upstream and not just going with the flow of things. Another thing that I think is important to share, my financial situation isn't great. I have nearly $8,000 in credit card debt that I've accumulated since I was 18. I took out a loan for this van, so I owe about $9,000 on it. I owe $35,000 in student loans. About $5,000 of that is interest that has accumulated over the last 3 years. But the thing is, your life doesn't begin in the future. There's always going to be a reason not to do something, or an argument to be made for, well, if I wait 3 years, then I'll be in a much better position. There will always be an argument against what you want to do. And I argued with myself for a while of thinking, well, if I wait 3 years, pay off some debt, then I'll be in a way better position to go do what I actually want to do. But the thing is that I had been doing that since I was 18. When I started going to college, I thought, okay, I'm just going to graduate and then I'm going to go off and travel and do what I really want to do. And then I graduated and all of a sudden I was swept up into these jobs. And so most recently when I found myself in this job, I was able to see this pattern of my life of putting things on hold because I kept thinking that there was a better time to do it. You can really do whatever you want to do. You just have to take a leap of faith and trust that you will figure it out as you go. And that's what I've had to do. I think we all have these certain expectations and responsibilities that we have to meet in our life. And they're all different for different people. My responsibilities as a single woman look a lot different than someone my age who has a family. But we all have responsibilities in the end, and I think a lot of times we get caught into this mindset of, well, God, I have all these responsibilities and I have to meet them this way. And the solution to meeting those responsibilities is something that we've been told. Like, you must have a full-time job in order to pay for your rent, let's say, or your house bill. And it's like, well, what if you change that around a little bit and you took out a piece of that equation? For instance, I don't have to pay rent. I don't have to pay rent. Who knew? I never learned that. I can live in this van. And I'm paying $200 a month for this van, but that includes my house and my car. And so just by doing that, I reduced quite a bit of what I was spending before. And so now I have these other opportunities to pursue different things that I do want, that cost money too. But it's all about balance. You don't have to be a prisoner to your responsibilities in life. So anyway, here I am It's been quite a journey getting to this point. I wish that I could show you how hard it was for me to make this decision and how much I second guessed myself, and I felt so alone in how I was thinking about things, and I felt like very few people could understand where I was coming from. I felt so insecure. I was so uncertain about my life, and for me, that was the first time I had really felt that way. It was emotional. I cried. I felt low on a lot of days, and it wasn't just like a week that this happened for. It was like 6 months to a year that I felt this way. And so it's like really kind of emotional for me to see where I've gotten from that point, because it was so hard. So if you're watching this and you are questioning where you're at and feeling like you want to pursue something new but are unsure of how to do that, just keep listening to it. You don't have to figure it out right now. Just keep listening to that voice. Just know it's going to be hard. It's scary to go through a transition, but it's so important. Don't run away from what you're going through just because it's difficult. So I leave in 2 days. I'm going to Alaska till September, and then who knows what's happening after that. You know just as much about where I'm heading as I do. I'm just going to share my journey on this YouTube channel and talk about what I'm thinking about, and especially how I'm living in this thing. I think a lot of people are like, how is she gonna go to the restroom? That's what I would be wondering if I were you. I'm gonna talk about all that stuff. I'm just gonna be real about what living in a van is like and what it's like having no idea what you're gonna do with your life. One thing I really value is transparency and vulnerability and just being real with people. And so that's how I'm gonna show up here. So the next time you'll see me, I'll be giving a tour of this van. Not like there's not much that you can't already see, but I'll just give more information about how the hell I'm gonna live out of this thing. See ya!